Hello class, and welcome to Lab 9 of the Geographer's Craft from the University of Texas at Austin. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We have used a lot of ArcMap, Excel, and Access, and we did GPS units last week, but now we're going to use something called ERDAS, which is a program for remote sensing. So today's lab, what you're going to turn in is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to let y'all read this first page here about the scenario, but what it's going to basically be is you're going to have to do a 500-word write-up and then add at least 3 of your images that you're going to create to what you turn in. Okay, so you're going to just pretty much tell us what happened in this scenario and what are some problems with this type of analysis and some benefits. Okay, so all of this should be right here. I'm going to talk about this more in class, but what I'd like to focus on now is this new software that we're using, since none of y'all, or most of y'all, probably don't have experience with it. So what it is ERDAS, and it is what we use for remote sensing. Okay, so I'm also going to talk about remote sensing. This is all done from Landsat data. Okay, so this is all from satellite data, and I'm going to go more into this on the PowerPoint in class. I can post it on Blackboard. So today I'm just going to go into the techniques. So first thing we do here is we're going to open a raster file in ERDAS. Okay, this is ERDAS 2011. Now, you have to make sure this is on your H drive and Lab 9. And as you can see, there are 2 files right here. One is from 2003 and one is from 1973. So Landsat data goes back to the 70s. So we have about 40 years of pretty good data. Okay, so I'm going to do 2003 first, and I'm going to let y'all do the other one on your own. So we have this here. Now the important part is that we look at these bands here. So these all have 4 bands, right? The number 4 band is the near infrared. The red is number 3, the green is 2, and the blue is 1. Okay? So here's what happens if we don't do that, right? So let's just do 4, 3, 2 just to check and see what happens, right? Put this up here, and we get this funky color, right? It's obviously not the true color. We were using different bands, which sometimes can be good because it can help us isolate certain features. So let's remove this here. Let's just delete this here, and then let's add it again. So open raster layer. You can also do it there too. I'm going to go to my H drive, go to Geographer's Craft, Lab 9, and then I'm going to go to 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this matches up, and this should be closer to a true color. Okay. So here we go. See what happens, and it looks better. Okay, that's a true color. You've got some green right here. You have a lot of exposed soil here. This was probably taken during some time when there wasn't a lot of vegetation. Okay, so we have this layer right here, and what we're going to do now is we're going to create an NDVI image. Now the NDVI image is something that is on your lab. And what it basically does is we're going to look at a certain spectrum, about 0.4 to about 0.7, and what it does is it helps us isolate photosynthetic plants, right? So it just kind of helps us expose those. What we're going to do right now then is we go to this raster right here, go to unsupervised, we go to NDVI, and we're going to do a couple things, right? One thing is our output file has to be good, and you're going to have a lot of files, so you're going to want to name this well. So let's name this NDVI 2003. Okay. Now let's also not leave any periods in it, and it can't be any longer than 13 characters. That could cause an issue. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that it's short and tells you everything you need to know. But just be careful, since we are going to be actually creating a lot of files, so let's try and keep the names as short and simple as possible. Okay, so a couple other things too that we're looking at, right, is the NDVI, and this is on your lab here, is you want it to be a certain spectrum. So you want it to be band 3 and band 4. So we may have to change this sensor, right? And this one here is perfect. This is the band 4, which is near infrared, and then the band 3, which is red. And that's going to help us isolate some of this vegetation. So let's just make sure we're good here. That's in a good place with a good name. Okay. NDVI is good. Landsat TM is good. We have the right function. Now let's go to OK. And what happens is it will not load it automatically, so we're going to have to go through and do it ourselves. Okay, so let's close this here. We can go back. There's a couple ways to do that. One way is that you can go to Open Raster Layer. One way is to go to Recent Documents, and then one way is to go up here to Open Raster Layer. All right, so all of these work. Let's go to, and then you got this right here in NDVI. Okay, so you see this image here, which is trying to kind of help us show this area here more, which is where there's more vegetation. Okay, so these lighter colors here. Now, cool thing, what you can also do, I'm just going to show you guys this for a second, is you can add a couple of these here where you can compare these here. Okay, so I could add something else here, and then you can compare two different images. So I'm going to keep this here, right? So we've done this here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do an unsupervised classification. And what that does is it's just going to take all these images and just kind of help us break them apart, so we can then go through later on and tell them which one is which. Okay? This will all make sense once you do it a little bit. So unsupervised classification, NDVI is good. That's what we want to use. Now I'm going to call this here. Let's go to H here. Geographer's Craft. Let's call this, since this is the, let's say, SUP 2003, right? Just because it's supervised 2003, or sorry, probably unsup. Unsup 2003. No space. And then let's go here. Okay, this signature isn't something we are going to be using here, but it could help us in the future. It just actually creates a larger folder, so we can use this later on. It just helps in other things. But so let's do 6 different classes. If you wanted to be even more accurate, we could do even more classes. You could do 250, and that will help us categorize all this right here. But 6 is good. So what it's going to do is it's going to take all these scales, all these different colors here, and just break them into 6. So we can then go through and analyze them. Okay? So iterations, what we want to do is let's put this up to 20. And that just means that it's calculated more times. It takes longer to load, but it'll give us a more accurate image. Okay? So we got this here. Let's go to OK. May take a second since it's going through all these iterations here. And it's done. So close this out here. We got this. Let's try it a different way now. Recent unsup 2003. Let's put it right here, right? Let me try this one actually. Open raster. Unsup 2003. That's probably somewhere here. Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. So, as you can see, it took all of this grayscale here, and it just gave it a couple different values. Again. Okay, so as you can see here, all this whole grayscale is now just 6 right here. So we've done all that we need to in ERDAS. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open this up in into ArcMap. And also, if you want, you can just get this snipping tool, and you can cut these and then put these much like that, even though I don't want that. Let's close that out, but you can cut these with that snipping tool and then put them into your little summary. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to open this up in ArcMap just because it's easier to use. And we're going to add a base map first, okay? Base map. And we're going to go to Bing aerial map. Okay. Okay. And then, so all these are just aerial map. These don't have the same bands and stuff. It isn't as accurate. And we're going to add data. We're going to go to this unsup 2003. Okay, so that's on there. And then we're going to go to zoom to layer. Let's see here. Oh, there it is. Okay. Sometimes it does some funky stuff. And as you can see, you have this layer here, right? So you have our data that is unsupervised, right? That is classified like this, and then you have the actual aerial photo. So what we're going to do here is we are going to go through it one by one, and we're going to try and classify it ourselves, right? So as you can see, there's also some that are unclassified. Let's just go through and just change that color so we can just see what's unclassified. We can always change this back, right? So let's change that to this yellow here. So there's not a lot that's unclassified. That's good. So and what I like to do here is you kind of go back and forth and you try and find a place that you know matches up. So the nice thing about this image is you can see better what things are, right? So I know this area right here is dense forest, right? You can just tell that's an area that's forest, okay? Or you can also say dense vegetation, whatever. What you do right here is you click right here. You should go back and forth like this, right? So go back and forth like this, zoom in. Just takes a second for it to catch up. And I'm impatient, but okay. So you're going to go through and make sure you have this, and then click on this gray part right here, right? So what it did is it gave it a value, and we know that's class 5. So I'm going to go into class 5 here, and I'm going to change the color. Let's just make it this green here, okay? Green here, and then I'm going to go, oops, a couple ways if you just hit this a couple times. You can also change the name. So this is dense forest, okay? So, as you can see right here, if we back this up and go to zoom to layer, we now get an image that we started classifying by ourselves. Now, I'm going to leave the rest of this up to y'all, but as you go back and forth, you can look, you can, maybe this here would be barren soil, you know, or agricultural field, or exposed dirt, but I'm going to let you guys do the rest of this on your own, okay? So I showed you, but you should have all of these should be filled in, right? So you should have an idea based on these 2 images what that is going to look like, okay? So what I want you to turn in at least is this right here, so a unsupervised classification of the 2003 image, right? And you can do whatever you think works best. There's maybe it's some of this is urban areas, some of this is exposed, even some of this might be clouds right there. But I want you to do your best to try and classify this, right? So all of these shouldn't say class 1 and be on a grayscale. They should be colors that you use, okay? So do this for the 2003 image right here, and do that for the 1973 image as well, okay? So I will leave the rest of it up to y'all. Good luck, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks for stopping by. Stay classy.